A solução de problemas e de traumas de outras vidas que tivemos pode levar à cura das dores de hoje. É um novo caminho para a medicina, que reúne os conhecimentos científicos tradicionais e a experiência da regressão. Terapia de vidas passadas. O psiquiatra norte-americano, Dr. Brian Weiss, que só no Brasil vendeu 1 milhão de livros sobre este tema, esteve no Rio de Janeiro para lançar o seu último livro, que traz uma revelação. Uma espiadinha no futuro, nas vidas que ainda teremos, pode provocar mudanças positivas no presente. Dr. Weiss, how can we have access to a record, to information about a life in the future that our soul hasn't lived yet?
It's really a complicated issue. I've been doing past life regressions for 25 years with more than 4,000 patients. And sometimes my patients would go into the future as well. In the past, you can validate it. You see people getting better, but you can check out names, dates, specific details. In the future, it can be a combination of metaphor, symbolism, or actual memory. But I see many people, for example, who have dreams of the future and they come true. Sometimes people have memories of the future in this life, and if you wait a few weeks or a few months, it happens just as they saw it in the hypnosis session. Now, future lives you cannot tell yet, but I still see the future, the near future, coming true. People have won lotteries based on dreams of the future. People heal their bodies based on future memories. So for me, as a psychiatrist, as a therapist, my goal is to help my patients to heal. Whether you can prove it or not, the past we can prove, the near future we can prove, but as long as my patients heal, that's the important thing to me.
In which ways knowing our future lives can help us in our present life?
Well, one of the cases in my new book is of a man who saw in a future life that he was about to commit suicide. He had a gun to his head. And then we explored that, and it was a business failure, in this case a relationship where he was cheating on his wife, but the wife's father was his boss, and it was very complex. In this life, he had suicidal thoughts because of a business failure. His partner was embezzling money. He didn't even know this. He just knew the business was failing. He felt shame. And he was thinking about suicide in this life. But when he saw in his next life that you have to repeat this pattern, if you commit suicide in this life, you're going to be faced with the same situation in future lives. He changed his behavior. He said, I don't want to repeat this. He allowed me to treat him to help cure the depression. He took a different route. In another case, a father was seeing me, and his daughter was dying of leukemia, a very serious cancer of the blood. And he saw in the future progression that he was playing with his grandchildren, her children. So he knew that she couldn't die because she didn't have any children yet. She was young. And so he changed his whole approach to her. It became more loving, more supportive. Her immune system got healthier. She went into remission. The leukemia disappeared. She has a child now. So I can see the future happening. And that's how we prove it. But you have to be more patient. You can't prove it right away, as you can with past life memories.
As a traditional doctor, you were very skeptical about regressions experiences. When you meet Catherine, the patient that you describe in your first book, Many Lives, Many Masters, you changed your mind. Why? What was the proof?
Well, there were a lot of things with Catherine. I was not only skeptical, I was closed-minded. I didn't believe in any of this. She had severe symptoms, panic attacks, phobias, depression, insomnia, and we weren't getting very far in the traditional psychotherapy. She also had a fear of gagging or choking, so she couldn't take any medicines. She was afraid. And I wanted to use hypnosis to take her back into her childhood. Hypnosis, this state of deep, focused relaxation, it helps the memory. So we went back to her childhood. Her symptoms remained severe. The next week, we went back again, and I said, go back to the time when your symptoms first began. She went back 4,000 years, because that's when her symptoms first began. In that lifetime, she drowned. At the end of the life, there was a flood. And when she remembered that, after she remembered that, the fear of choking or gagging disappeared. And I knew, well, fantasy or imagination doesn't take away such lifelong symptoms. And week by week, as we remembered past lives, she started getting better. She got rid of all of her symptoms. That was 25 years ago, and I've treated more than 4,000 patients in my office, and many, many more patients in groups over the past 25 years. But something very strange happened to me. I know the Brazilian people will understand this more. Americans have a harder time with this, but for me it was shocking. She died in the Middle Ages lifetime, in the 4th or 5th session. She floated above her body, finding a beautiful light. And she said there were 2 people there to see me, my father and my son. Both of them had died before Catherine began her therapy. And she started telling me details, medical details about their deaths, their lives. My son had a very rare congenital heart defect, a heart disease. She described that. It's not written anywhere. There's no place to look this up. I asked her, where are you getting this information about my father and my son? And she said, from spirits that are around me. Master spirits, she called them. That's where the name Many Lives, Many Masters comes from. I didn't believe in any of this, not in other dimensions or spirits or past lives. And here it was being proven to me.
People that are in very deep pain, suffering because they lose their close, dear relatives, are the ones more attracted to regressions. How can you be sure that someone can really travel through time and find a mate soul?
Yes.
Mas o médium Divaldo Franco faz uma advertência quanto à terapia de vidas passadas.
Nessa tarefa existe também a probabilidade desagradável do psicoterapeuta não saber liberar a pessoa daquela problemática desafiadora. E há ainda um outro risco, que mesmo no momento da recordação pode ocorrer a lembrança de uma obsessão espiritual. Por isso mesmo, os psicoterapeutas devem não apenas estar equipados de forma acadêmica, mas também conhecer os postulados da doutrina espírita, para, ao diluir as impressões negativas, afastarem também essas personalidades anômalas, essas presenças perturbadoras que estão no campo do psiquismo da criatura reencarnada.
Well, sometimes those people do come, but also people come just suffering from phobias or fears, not always sadness or depression or grief. We've had so many people, for example, I saw a Chinese surgeon, a woman from Beijing, who came with an interpreter because she was curious. My work is well known in China, and she wanted to experience this. And she remembered a lifetime in San Francisco, California, in the U.S. about 150 years ago. This is working with the interpreter. She could not even say hello in English. And in this past life, living in California, she was having an argument with her husband. She began in my office to speak in very fluent and colorful English. The translator did not realize what was happening at first, and he began to translate the entire thing back into Chinese for me. I told him, stop it, I understand the English. So when you see this, it's called xenoglossia. People speaking foreign languages that they never learned. 30 minutes before, she couldn't even say hello. Now she's speaking fluent English. This is not imagination, this is not fantasy. We've had so many people, I've had people find their children from a past life, and the children confirm exactly what the patient is saying. This is not grief, this is not imagination. For example, the children might be 30 or 40 years older now than the parent because they were children in a past life. Then the parent dies, the parent